Hello everyone, good morning. Can anyone please come to? Am I audible or not? Yeah. Okay then, last class where we stop. Let me open our diagram. Okay, this D, my classes. This is our site. That is our end-to-end flow. This is our end-to-end. Open with paint. Yeah. Okay then. Yesterday where we stopped. At the time of clicking on the button, we send one request by using an AJAX. Which technique we used? XML HTTP request. By using XML HTTP request, we send a request to the server. My server receives the request. Okay. Take the data, establish the connection, and perform required operation. For now, hold these three. Okay. Just my requirement is yes, my client is able to connect with the server or not by using AJAX. That is my goal. My client is able to communicate with the server or not. After that, we can think about our requirement and everything. Okay, so that once you send the request to the server, my server receive the request. How we can say my server really receive the request or not? How we can say anybody did this URL, anybody did this URL. If this callback method called, then we can say like yes, my request received. Okay, for that purpose, we can write like some console messages like this. Console.log is okay. Request received like this. You can write one console message. Now open your localhost 3000 port number. Okay, the application is running in localhost 3000 port number. Click on E2E. Now open this command prompt. Okay, server side command prompt. This is the one, server side one. Okay, it's a client side, not server side. It's a server side one. Now I'm going to click on this one. Yeah, I click on this particular one. Now one request to go to the server. Is my request really received or not? I want to check it. See this? Yeah, request received. This is the log message. This is the log message. These log messages in the server console, different ways we are going to handle. If it is like a Java, we are going to use like log4j. Just we are going to write like information and warnings and error messages like this different ways. Okay, for example, there has some problematic code is there. You written like try and catch. In the catch block, just we are going to write like log error messages. Okay, warning messages like this. Just we can write that the goal of this log message is like yeah, exactly where my flow is going, or how my flow is going, where exactly my flow is going to stop. Like this, some information if you want to get it. Okay, yes, you can print some console messages, log messages. If it is a Node.js directly, this is your server console. Okay, there itself you can write like console messages like this. Okay, in the client side, okay, browser itself, my client side code where it is running, not the server. In the browser it's going to run, right? In the browser, just if you want to check, you can check that console messages in the browser. That's it. Other than that, there is no particular log4j type. Okay, Java related stuff is not there. Okay, so yes, my request received. This is only the proof. How my request received? Anybody click or anybody send. Okay, anybody hit this particular URL. Okay, then that time this callback method is called. Then we can say like request received. Okay, is really my request go to the server? I want to check it. I am the client side developer now. I am the client side developer. At the time of clicking on the button, is really my request go to the server? I want to check it. Is really my server send the response to me? Okay, I want to check it. How we can check? Yes, we can check it in the client side. Okay, how we can means inspect it in that developer window. Okay, yesterday we already discussed about the network tab. Okay, you requested something to whom? Anybody. Okay, I requested something to my JS to load your JS library. I requested something to my HTML file to load my HTML content. I requested something to my server side program also to get something, some result from the server side endpoint URL. Okay, server side endpoint also. Okay, everything is going to load inside this network tab. Now, if you come here, okay, at the time of clicking on the submit button, yes. Okay, if you see this, go to my console. Okay, not console, go to my network. Yeah, one request go to the server. See this. Okay, one record registered here or not? One request. Okay, see this. Each and every request is going to register. Okay, for example, this is the Google one. Now inspect it. Okay, go to my network. How much data transferred for this particular page load? See this. Okay, clear this one. For the google.com page load, how many requests is going to send to the server? Say this, 8, 9, okay, 24. Okay, for a single page, if you want to load this page, these many requests go to the server. Okay, go to some other person. Okay, you request something to load inside the browser. Okay, this much data was transferred. This much data was transferred. Each and everything you can find it here. Okay, this is the one. Okay, you are requesting something to this particular URL. Okay, this is my actual URL. Okay, this is depending upon some other. This is what? Okay, this is like one image or something like this. Okay, like this multiple things. Okay, it's not an image. Okay, this is also one URL server side. This is like okay, and okay, this is also one image. Okay, like this multiple things are there. See this. These many requests go to the server. These many requests go to the server. Instant or not, each and everything is going to load inside my network tab, registered into my network tab. So the same like this, if I click on the submit, I requested something to my node server, so that one also registered. See this. Okay, yeah, you requested something to this particular URL. Okay, and then by using which method? It's a post method. My status code is nothing but okay, my server send this status code based on the response type. Okay, if my response is like whatever you send the request to the server, that resource is not there. For example, URL wrong, URL not found, 404. Okay, 200 is a success. 500 is like a server side error. Okay, 300 is nothing but redirection problem. Okay, like this different stats codes my server side guy is going to send. That is in my server side guy hand. Okay, that guy is going to tell to hey, I'm sending like this type of status code to you. Okay, that is like custom status codes also we can send it, but it's like a success status code is like a 200. Okay, from where is coming remote address from 2024 number like this. After that, okay, if you come here, see this. General header contains these many tabs. One is like general, another one is like response headers, another one is like request headers. Now this is the time to discuss about the headers. Okay, let's start. Open new one. I have a client. Okay, I have a server. Okay, this is my client and this is my server. Okay, simple diagram. My client want to communicate with the server. Yes, that one we can say like what? Request. Okay, in from my client side, how we can send the request to the server? By using what? By using AJAX technique. By using AJAX, we can send the request to the server. My server side guy is going to do processing. He's going to process the request and give the response back. Okay, who is going to handle the response again? Who is going to handle in the client side? AJAX only. Sending the request and getting the response, everything is going to handle by AJAX only. My response, do you think my response is like always success? No. Sometimes it's like a success, sometimes it's like a failure. Sometimes it's like a success, sometimes it's like a failure. If it's a success or failure, whatever it is, who can handle it? By using AJAX only we can handle it or not? By using AJAX only or not? Sending the request and getting the response, everything is going to handle by whom? AJAX only. Oh, perfect. Now, my client goal, okay, different clients have different goals like this. Okay, I want some data from the database. Okay, some guy want the data from the database. Okay, this is my DB, want some data from the database. Who can communicate with the database? My server side guy is going to communicate with the database. Okay, some guy want to insert the data within the database. Okay, some guy want to delete the data, some guy want to update the data. Different people, different clients have different requirements. Okay, the thing is, if you want to insert the data, okay, where is my data? First tell me, where is my data? Where is my data? If you want to insert the data, who want to insert the data? First tell me, who want to insert the data? Who want to insert the data? My client, right? Okay, my data in my client side only or not? There has one form is there. Okay, that is like name. Okay, the next one is like phone number. This is my form. This is my submit. Okay, my form, inside my form only my data is there or not? Inside my form only my data is there or not? At the time of clicking on the submit button, this data you have to send to my server or not? But how we can send? How we can send to the server? Okay, if you want to communicate with the client, how we can? If my client want to communicate with the server, how we can communicate? How we can communicate with the server? By sending the request only or not? By sending the request only or not? So that if you want to pass the data, how we can pass it? Okay, through request only we can pass the data to my server or not. Through request only. This is from the channel, right? To communicate. Okay, this is the channel to get the response from where? Okay, from my server or not. To get the response from my server or not. If you want to send the data to my server, that is possible through request only or not. Through request only or not. So that my data always going as part of what? Request or not. As part of request or not. My data is always going as part of request. No, yes, okay, perfect. You said like, okay, as part of request, my data is going. As part of request, how many ways we can pass the data as part of request? That is our next discussion. Okay, number of ways. Okay, number of ways to pass the data to my server as part of request. Okay, there is no other way to pass the data to my server. Okay, as part of request only, you have to pass the data as part of request only. As part of request itself, we have different ways over there to pass the data. What are those? Means very simple. The first one is like through headers. Okay. The next one is like through query params, query parameters, query parameters. The next one is like through path parameters. The next one is like body, request body, through body. The body is nothing but if anyone said like the data is going as part of request body is nothing but the type is like JSON, the JSON data. These are the ways. Okay, these are the different ways we can use to pass the data to the server as part of what? As part of request only. This one is common as part of request only because only my request channel only can communicate okay with my server to my from my client. Okay, so through request only we can pass the data in these ways. Okay, either it is like a headers, either it is like a query parameters, either it is like a path parameters, either it is like a JSON. Okay, now what my server side guy is going to do? The data is going to my server as part of request. What my server side guy is going to do? Okay, first tell me. Once my request come to my server, okay, he receives the request. Next point is what? He receives only request. As part of request, he receives the data also. As part of request, he may receive the data also. If he receives the data, he should have to take the data, right? Why? Because if you not take the data, how we insert the data within the database? He should have to take the data or not? Take data from request. Now, the next level discussion is the second point. Take the data from the request. Now tell me, if you want to take the data from the request, how my data is coming as part of request? Is my data is coming like as part of headers? Or my data is coming like a query parameters? Or my data is coming like a path parameters? Or my data is coming like a body? Okay, that one if you know, then that time, yes, we can retrieve it or not. We can retrieve it or not. We can take the data or not. Yes, my data is coming as part of request. Okay, like a headers as part of request in the form of headers. Okay, as my data is coming as part of request in the form of query parameters or path parameters or JSON. Okay, now can we see that one? Okay, let's start the discussion. Now come on. Okay, now this is the one. Take the data from the request. Now we are going to concentrate on this part now. Think my data is coming as part of as a query parameters. First start with query parameters as like a query parameters. Can anyone tell how my query parameters looks like? My query parameters, if it is like my data is coming as part of as like a query parameter, how we can send, how my client is going to send. Yes, this is the way we are going to pass the data as like a query parameter. How it's like means my query parameters as okay always as part of URL. Okay, always as part of URL only. As part of URL. Okay, you have the URL, right? If the URL is not there, how we can send the request to the server? As part of URL only or not? If you want to send the AJAX request, what mandatory things are required? One is like URL, another one is like what? Request method. If these two are not there, okay, there is no point. Okay, there is no point of contact in the server side. Then how? To whom I have to ask to do this work? To do this process? My client is not able to do, not able to send the request to the server or not. These are the mandatory things: URL and method. Okay, done. Always my query parameters as part of what? URL only. URL only. Okay. It starts with question mark as part of URL. Starts with question mark. Starts with question mark. Okay. This is in the form of key value base, comma value base. Okay, as part of URL starts with question mark. Okay, the form of key value base. Okay, now how many key value pairs you can pass? Okay, any number of key value pairs. Okay, we can differentiate. Okay, one key value pair to another key value pair. We can separate. Okay, key value pairs with the and symbol. With the and symbol, we can separate it. Okay, perfect. Now see, my query parameters we are going to pass as part of URL. Okay, where is my URL? You are sending the request to server is nothing but request is nothing but what? Okay, you requested to this particular URL. So that if you come here in the React side, okay, go to my 𝕤𝕤𝕟𝕤𝕤.js. Now see this. My request is going. My request, you prepare this request, you send this request. My request is going to this particular URL, right? My query parameters is going as part of URL, so that this is my URL. If you want to pass the data in the form of query parameters, okay, now starts with the question mark. Okay, the value is like what? Key value paste. Okay, now my name equals to Sachin. Like this you can pass it. Like this you can pass it. Now I am going to send the request to this particular URL with this query parameters data. Now can you come here and see here? Okay, just keep this one in your mind. How many things are there? Here? How many things are there? One is like general is there. Okay, another one is like request parameters. Okay, one is like request headers. Another one is like response headers. Okay, now can you come just take a screenshot here. Just yeah. Okay, it's already. If I click on the submit, okay, I don't want to debug here. Okay, go to my network. See this. If you observe here, my data is a general one. My data is going to this particular URL as part of, okay, my data is going to this particular endpoint as part of what? Okay, as like a in the form of query parameters, like a query parameters or not, key value pairs or not. Now see this. This is the one. This is the URL. Okay, you pass the data as part of URL in the form of what? Query parameters, like, okay, starts with what? Question mark. Okay, query parameters like what? Key value pairs or not. Now if you want to come here, okay, if you want to see this, how many query parameters going in the past, there is no data, nothing, right? Now my query parameters added or not. Okay, which query parameters? Name, such like this. How many query parameters you can pass to my server? Okay, based on your requirement, how much data you want to send, you can send it. But one key value pair to another key value pair, how we can differentiate? By using and symbol. Now how many query parameters are going to the server? Now if you come here, if I click on the submit button, yes, there has 2 query parameters go to my server or not. Okay, this is my general one, HTTP localhost 2020% save question. Okay, this is my key value pair. Okay, my request method is like a post. Done. Now my query string parameter is like what? Name, Sachin, and location. My 2 parameters go to my server or not. 2 parameters. Now come here. My request go to the server. As part of request, I am passing data also. My data in the form of what? Query parameters or not. My data is in the form of query parameters. How this guy is going to take the data? That is our requirement. In the server side, how that guy retrieve the data? Which data? Query parameters data. From where? From my request or not. Okay, go to my server side now. Yeah, okay, this is my server side one. Now my data is coming as part of request in the form of what? Query parameters or not. Okay, how many query parameters? 2 query parameters. What are those? These are the query parameters. One is the name Sachin, location Mumbai. If you want Sachin, this is the unique key or not. If you want Mumbai, this is the unique key or not. So as part of request only my data is coming. In this particular request, my data format is what? Query parameters or JSON or path parameters, or another one is like what? Headers. Okay, in which way is coming? Query parameters or not? So that if my data is coming as part of request in the form of query parameters, query is the property to get that particular query parameters data. The next one is like what? Okay, the key is what? Name. Okay, now this is your name. Okay, same like this. Can we get the location also? Where my location equals to my data is coming as part of request in the form of query parameters with the key of what LOC or not. Now this is my name and this is my location. If you want to send it, yes, you can send. Okay. Station. Now can we send the request to server now? Yeah, I send the request to server. Can you see my response? See, this is only the proof, right? My server receives the data. Okay, send this data to my client. It's not required, but I need some proof. Yes, my server side guy taken the data. Okay, correct data only he taken. Correct data only he taken. Understand or not? If it is like a query parameters, like this, we pass. Like this, we are going to pass. We are going to pass. Like this, we are going to retrieve. Like this, we are going to retrieve. Which data? Query parameters data. Shall we go to the next level? Okay, the next one is what? The next one, path parameters. Okay, can we go with the path parameters? Where is that? Okay, now path parameters. Okay, path parameters, how it looks like means this data also going as part of URL only. Okay, this data also going as part of URL only, like a path. Now see this, the URL is what now? Now can you come to my client side? Okay, see my URL, this is my URL or not? My query parameters always starts, okay, with what? Question mark. Okay, my query parameter started is nothing but after that you are not expecting anything. You should not expect anything. All are like query parameters only. It's like ending. Okay, before that, this one is like a protocol and this one is like your host name. Okay, this is your host name and this one is like a port number and this one is like what? This is your path. This is your path or not. Okay, here as part of this one, I want to pass some data. I want to pass some data also. How we can pass the data? As part of URL, like a path parameter means, can you go to the URL first? Can you go to the URL? Now can you come here? This is the protocol and this is my host name. This is my port number. This is my path up to here. This is my path. See, this path you should not change. Why? My request has to travel, right? My request has to come to my node up to here. Go to your questions file. Okay, go to your save questions endpoint up to here. You should not change. Here, if you want to send some data, okay, my runs are like 20,000. My runs are like what? 20,000. This is my runs. Yeah, you can pass it. Now, can you come here? Can I click on submit button? Okay. Now my request is going to the server. See this 404. Why 404 means I can find localhost 2020. From there I can find questions file. From there I can find save questions. But here my path 20,000 is not there. Okay, no one handle that one. So that can be handled in the server side. Can we handle in the server side? Now see, up to here you handle. Okay, now you have to add one path parameter to handle the data as part of URL, like a path is coming. So that's how we can handle it. Simple. Now slash. Now which data is passing? Runs, right? So column runs. Now whatever you are passing, okay, localhost 2020 save questions up to here, okay. Whatever you pass the data, that data binds to this particular runs variable. Now can we get the data now? Where my runs equals to request.params. My param name is what? Runs or not? Yes or no? Okay, don't think like this one and this one should be same. Okay, I'm going to put like R. Whatever. Control Z, my Z key is not working. Okay, this is my R. Okay, really my runs is going to my server. My runs are able to retrieved by the server or not? I want to see so. check now. Now come here. Go to this particular one. Can we clear this one? Can I click on submit? Yes. Can we check now? This is my URL. This is my path parameter. Up to here is like a normal parameter. This path parameter data keep 20,000 or 13,000 based on this particular player name. Okay, name searching is going like what? Name searching is going like this one. Now see this. Now can you come to my response? Yes. Mumbai searching. Mumbai searching is the data. Which data? Query parameter data. My 20,000 is which data? Path parameter data or not? Agreed? Do it okay or not? Okay, my data is coming as part of URL in the form of query parameters as like a path parameter. The next one is like what? JSON data. Okay, JSON is nothing but request body. As part of body, we are going to send the data. Okay, now I want to send the JSON data. JSON data. How we can send the JSON data means, okay, my data should have to come from client only. If you say query parameters like a URL as part of URL, path parameters also as part of URL only. But my request body data, JSON data, is not like as part of URL. So that first of all, if you want to send the data, data is required, right? Already I have the data. See this. This is my data or not? This is which type of data? JSON data only or not? This data I want to pass to my server. That's it. This data I want to pass to my server. Can anyone guess? Query parameter data is going like a URL as part of URL. Okay, path parameter data also going as part of URL. This data, okay, my JSON data I want to send. Okay, which line you want me to do the change? Which line do you want me to do the change? Means, see here, you created an object for the XML HTTP request. You prepare the request and send the request. Okay, getting the response. If it is like a success, this callback is going to execute. If it is like a failure, this callback is going to execute. Okay, if it is like a failure, this callback is going to execute. Now see, you are sending the request, right? Okay, at the time only, right? You have to send the data. At the time of sending the request, in the send method, there is no parameter now at this point of time. That means there is no data. There is no data we are passing as part of request body. But if you want to pass the data as part of request body, yes, you can pass this one. You can pass this one. Okay, which data? This is my JSON object data only or not? Yes, really this data is going to my server or not? Can we check it? Now see this. Now if I click on this, add some data here. Add some data. Okay, question. This is my question. Okay, if I click on the submit, yes, from here. Okay, from here, general. Okay, response headers are there, request headers are there. Query string parameters, 2 query string parameters you passed. Now see, my request payload is nothing but request body. As part of request body, my data is going or not. But this data is not in the right format, object to object, like this is going to show. Okay, so that my XML HTTP request people said like, okay, this class people said like, hey, if you want to send the data, as an argument to my send method, my send method take only string type of arguments only, not direct objects. If you pass like a direct object, it looks like this only. Okay, they written like that. They written the code like this. So that my send method accept what? No arguments. If you pass an argument, that argument type should be a string. So that it's not a string. So can we convert this JSON into string? Can we do it or not? Yes, we can do it. So my JSON, if you want to convert it into a string, we have the method called JSON.stringify. This is the syntax. In the send method always take which type of data? String data only. Okay, but I have the object data, so convert into a string. No problem at all. Now, can we check now? This is the question. If I click on the submit, yes. Yeah. My request payload. Okay, the data is coming. Okay, the data is going to my server like a object format only or not. It looks like an object, but really the object you converted into a string, that string is going to my server or not. Agreed? Okay, it looks like an object. Internally, it's like object only, but you converted that object into what? You converted that object into a string or not? Okay, real value is like a string, but internally that string contains what? One object only or not? One object only or not? Okay, like this. Okay, if you pass here, okay, okay, single. Now, if I click on this one, yes, my data, the total data is going to my server or not. Okay, now Now, in the server side, you know how to retrieve the data. Which data? Query parameter data. You know how to retrieve path parameter data. Now, this is the time to retrieve what? Your JSON data or not. That is coming as part of what? Request payload. Okay, request body, you can say. Okay, the data which is coming as part of request body, if you want to retrieve the data, how we can retrieve means by using request only, by using one of the property called as a request.body is the property. Now, request.body, can anyone tell? Can anyone tell? These many properties are there. Which property you want me to display? Question I want to display. Okay, or answer or type, whatever you want, you can display. But only one I want now, QUE. Okay, requested body of QUE. Okay, now this is your question or not? Where my question? Now, can we display that one? Yeah, can we display that one? Question. Right. Now, can you check now? Only question. This is my question. I click on the submit. Yeah, my data is going to my server as part of the request payload. Okay, the next one is like this one and this one also there. Now, can we check my response? Yeah, see this. Mumbai, query parameter, yeah, working as expected. Sachin, query parameter, working as expected. Path parameter, yeah, working as expected. But my data question, see this, my question is this one, but my response is like undefined. But I'm expecting this one or not. Why it's happened? Can anyone guess? Can anyone guess why it looks like this? You are sending the data to the server, just real data only. See this, this is only the proof. My data is going to the server. Okay, but inside my, okay, inside this particular one, I retrieve the data. I assign to my queue. My queue also added. My queue also added. Okay, in the my response.send, my queue added or not? Queue also added, but my queue is like what? It's undefined. It's showing like undefined. Why it's like this? Why it's like this? Okay, then we can use like a dot notation if my data is like a JSON. If my data is coming like a JSON, it looks like a JSON, but really it's like what? Stringified data or not? Yes or no? Why? Because my send method accepts only string data. You stringified the data or not? You stringified the data. So once my data is like a string, string is nothing but what? It's a plain text. It's like a plain text. From the plain text, if it is like a string, can I retrieve like an object? I'm not able to retrieve like an object. I'm not able to retrieve like an object. 1 second. Yeah, I'm back. Okay, if it is like a string, how I can take my question? I'm not able to take. I'm not able to retrieve like an object. I'm not able to retrieve like an object, so that it gives me like undefined. But it's like a string only, but internally it's like an object. Internally it's like an object. Internally it's like an object. So you have to tell to my server side guy, hey, it's like it seems like a string only, but can you treat that an object? Can you retrieve the data like an object format? Like this, you have to tell. Okay, how we can tell? Just hold for 1 second. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, come here. You are sending the request to the server. Perfect. Okay, who prepared the request? Come on, first. Who prepared the request? Who sent the request first? Tell me. Who sent the request? Can anyone? Who sent the request? Perfect. Client. Client is going to send the request. Okay, my client sent the request is nothing but who prepared the request? My client sent the request is nothing but who has to prepare. Okay, I given something to another person is nothing but if I have then only I can give, right? So my client only prepare the request or not? Client only prepare the request or not? If I prepare the request is nothing but who knows about the request? Who knows about the request? I prepared something is nothing but okay. Who knows? Who prepared that one? That guy only knows about that one, right? So that my client prepared the request. He knows. My client only knows about the request or not. About the request or not. Agreed? These statements. My client only prepared the request so that he only knows about the request. Okay, he sent the request to the server. Now it comes to my server. Prepare and give it to some other person. Who is that guy? Server. Whom? Request used by whom? Request used. Request used by whom? My client send the request. That is used by whom? Taking the data and everything. Okay, doing something. Okay, request used by server side guy or not? If my request used by server side guy, before using that one, my server side guy should know about the request or not. That, right? We can use it. If I don't know about anything about the request, then how I can use that request? Okay, so my server side guy should know about the request or not. About the request or not. Should know about the request. But already who knows about the request? Who prepared the request? That guy knows. My client prepared the request. He knows about the request. Okay, that request used by server side guy, he should know about the request to use it. So how my server side guy knows about the request? That is the question or not? My client knows. My server side guy should know to use it. So how my server side guy knows about the request which is prepared by the client? How he knows means by using request headers. By using what? Request headers. By using request headers, my server side guy knows about your what? About your request. By reading that request headers, my server side guy knows about the request. Okay, so that can you come here? See this here, request headers are there, right? Okay, this request headers tells about what? This request headers prepared by client. Request headers prepared by client. Okay, you can ask the question where you prepared. My browser will take care of that one. By default headers, these all are like my request headers prepared by the client. It tells something about request. Who reads these request headers? My server side guy reads the request headers to know about the request, to do something on request. So that open the request headers. This tells something about your request or not. Hey, where my request is coming, that is in which format, everything. Now see this content type. See this content type. But what is my content type? My content is nothing but your data type. What is my data type? It's like a text or not. It's like a string or not. Why? Because you converted your JSON object like a string. Now, who reads this request headers? Tell me, who reads these request headers? Who want to know about the request? That guy is going to read. Who want to know about the request? Server side guy. So my server side guy reads this request and he is going to read this content type. Okay, by seeing this one, you can understand like what? Yes, it's like a string data. It's like a string data. Okay, my server side guy think like it's a string written a code like what? Object. So that it simply gives like what? It simply gives like an undefined or not. So it's like undefined or not. Now you should have to tell to the server side guy, hey, it's not like a string data. It's not like a string data. Yeah, it's like a string data only. Don't treat like a string data. Can you treat this content like an object? Like this, you have to tell it or not. So if you want to tell this particular one, you should have to change or not, like a JSON format, like a JSON or not. How we can change this request header? Okay, if you change this request header, then the time my server side reads this request header, then the time you can understand like, yes, my content type is like a JSON only. I have to treat like a JSON object. Then he take the question data or not. So how we can change this one? Okay, who prepare the request headers? Now tell me. Who prepare the request headers? Who prepare the request headers? Who knows about the request? That guy. Who knows about the request? Client. Client is going to prepare the request headers or not? Here, in this case, who is the client? My React is the client. So that here, once you prepare the request, before sending the request to the server, can you add one more request header? Add request headers. Okay, because my request headers are prepared by whom? My client. Okay, here what have to add means my HTTP had HTTP object dot. Okay, set request header. Okay, which request headers you want me to set? My content type is my request header key. My content type is my request header key. Okay, how you want me to treat? Application JSON. Okay, you can ask what is this application JSON? If you want to tell the content which is in the JSON format, how we can tell to the server means by using this particular value, application JSON. Okay, done. Now can you come here? Can I refresh my page now? Yeah. Now come here. Okay. Go to the submit. Now come to this particular one. Okay. Go to my response. Yeah. Okay. Can you check now? Can you check now? This is my general one. Okay, request headers. In the past, my content type is like what? Text plain. Now my content type is like application JSON or not. The content type is like what? Application JSON or not. Agree? Yes or no? Okay. Now these things. Anyone ask about the request headers? What is your answer? My request headers tell something about your request. Simple. Who reads this request headers means who want to play with the request, who want to do some operations with the request, that guy is going to play. That guy is going to read your request headers or not. Who want this request? My request is received by whom? Server side guy. Used by whom? Server side guy. Server side guy. So that my server side guy is going to read the request headers or not. Now simple vice versa. Who prepare the response? Come on. Who prepare the response? Come on here. Client prepare the request, right? Who prepare the response? Server side guy is going to prepare the response. Okay, so that who knows about the response? Who knows about the response? My server side guy prepared the response in the server side guy only. Okay, the response go to where? Response sent to whom? Client. Response sent to client. Who used the response? Who used the response? Client. Okay, if you want to use the response, first of all, you should know about the response or not. So that my client is going to read that particular response headers now. My client is going to read the response headers, okay, to know about your response or not. Okay, so my response headers are prepared by who? My response headers are prepared by my server side guy or not. Read by whom? Read by whom? My client side guy or not. So that if you come here, see my response headers, see my response headers. If you come to the response headers, my content length is like 47. If you go my response, okay, the same thing. Okay, if you come here, go to my console. Okay, this is my content. Okay, see my length. How much length is there? 47 or not? Okay, when you go to this particular network, my content type, if you observe here, that's like a text only or not. We are sending like what? You are sending like a string format or not? In which case you requested, all these things are available or not. This is like a response headers. Understand? Now you understand, right? For all these things, my general contents what? Your request URL information. Okay, to whom you want me to send. Okay, which query parameters, path parameters, everything you can find in the general tab. Okay, the next one is like by using which method you send the request to the server, either get or post or put. The next one is like the response is coming like, okay, success stats score is like 200, failure is like 500, not found is like 400, redirection is like 300, like this you can get it. Okay, response headers prepared by server side guy, read by client side person. Okay, to know about the response. Request headers prepared by client side person. Okay, read by server side guy to know about the request. Query string parameters here, which type of data we are passing as part of query parameters, that data is going to visible here. The next one is like request payload, the data which is going as part of request body in the form of JSON. That data we can see here. We can see here. Up here, okay. All common things we covered. 4 things, yes. Okay. The next one is what? We are passing the data as part of, let us see. These things not only for React or not only for Node. Okay, any technology you can take. This is only the thing. This is only the base. Any technology. Okay, or Angular, client side Angular or React or Backbone or whatever it is. Server side also Java, okay, .NET or PHP, whatever it is. Whatever it is. Okay, these are the common things. Okay, the next one, as part of headers. As part of headers, I want to pass the data. Okay, yes, you can pass it. You know, right? How to set the header? Yes, you can pass. My HTTP object dot, okay, set the, okay, request header. Okay, which data you want me to pass? Which data you want me to pass? Okay, name is there, location is there. Okay, these are my runs, and the one is like this. Hundreds. Okay. Okay, as for the headers, I am passing the data. Now, can you check is really going? Okay, see, you find like 2 things. Why? One is like pre-flight request. See this. Okay, one is like pre-flight request. Yesterday we saw pre-flight request. My browser sent one pre-flight request. It is like a JSON data. If it's like a JSON data, my browser send like one pre-flight request. First, it's going to check. Okay, my server side guy is going to check like, okay, yes, I'm able to accept or not. Okay, once he accepted, like the success. Okay, once he accepted, okay, then that time only my original request is going to the server or not. See this. This is my options is my request method. It's like a dummy request, we can say. Dummy request. Understand or not? That's a pre-flight one. Now if you come here, now in the request header, as part of request headers, can you see hundreds is going to my server or not? Now my data go to my server as part of headers. Okay, if it is like a headers, how we can get the headers data? Where my hundreds equals to request dot headers dot, what is my header name? Which header name? This is my hundreds is my header or not? We add these hundreds. Now can you come here? Now can I refresh my page? Say this. Okay. Now can I click on submit? Can I see my response? Yes, my hundreds are coming at 99 or not? This data is like a query parameter. This is like a header. This is like a request body, and this is my header or not. These are the ways. Okay, different ways we can pass the data from where to where, from my client to server or not, from my client to server. Okay. Okay, then the next one. Now come here. Come to our actual discussion now. Now, can we I can make it like a test, okay, for your reference purpose. Otherwise, we can do one. Save question only. Okay. Now you have this data, right? You have this data. Now I want to send the data like this. My question, okay, my option 1, option 2, option 3. Okay, question, option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. Okay, these we can pass like what? These we can pass like JSON data. It's a request body. And answer I want to pass like a path parameter. Type I want to pass like a query parameter. Okay, headers also you can put it. Okay, this is the type. See, I want to pass the data like this. So total 8 fields are there, right? Question I want to pass like a header. Okay. Options I want to pass like a request body, like an object. Okay. Answer I want to pass like a auth parameter. Okay, the next one is like type I want to pass like a query parameter. Okay, now see, this is one field, this is like 4 plus 1, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's enough. Okay, like this I want to pass it. Okay, let's do this. Okay, how we can anyone? Question I want to pass like what? Question I want to pass like a header. So that can you go here? Now this is the NPN, right? Okay, different ways I want to use that, more than that nothing. Okay, this is my question. Okay, where is your question? All your data inside this data object or not? So can we get it? This dot data object dot QUE. This is my question. Okay, the next one. Question done. Path parameters, what do you want? Path parameters, what do you want to pass? Answer I want to pass it. Okay, here plus this dot, okay, data object dot ENS, answer. Okay, done. Okay, next, the query parameters I want to pass like what? Type I want to pass like a query parameters. My type equals to, okay, this dot data object dot type. Okay, see, as part of header, I pass like a question. As part of path parameters, I pass like an answer. As part of query parameters, I pass like a type. Okay, remaining how many are there? Okay, 4. That 4 I want to pass like a body. So this data object contains how many? Data object contains 7 fields. Okay, now come here and check. Is it showing or not? This is my question. Now this is my question. Answer. Okay, answer. This is the one. Okay, go to my network. From here, if I click on the submit. Okay, if I click on the submit, leave it. Okay, go to my network. First, my data is going as part of all different sources. Okay, see, this is the response. No problem. We can handle later. First of all, check. As part of headers, I want to pass like a question. Yeah, my question is going as part of headers. The next one, as part of URL, my question, save question. This is the path parameter. What is this answer? Okay, my answer is like this one. The next one is like a type. I want to pass like multi. Okay, this is the one. Done. As part of request body, I want to pass remaining 4. But here, option 1, option 2, option 4 only I want. Answer and this one not required. So that can we remove these 3 fields? Okay, how we can remove the data from this particular object? If you want to remove the data from this particular object, how we can remove? Okay, just you can use delete keyword. Delete. Okay, this dot data object dot answer. I want to delete. Delete this dot data object dot. What is that? Question also I want to delete. Okay, delete this dot data object dot type also I want to delete. If you delete 3, okay, remaining all like 4 only or not? Now from here, now can I refresh the page? The delete keyword is a JavaScript one. Okay, if you come here, delete. This is the one, JavaScript one. JavaScript keyword is. Now can you come to my end to end? Now enter some value. Okay, enter value. This is the one. Click on the submit. Okay, don't want to debug. Go to my network. Now my data is going or not? Can you check it? Okay, this is my original request. Yeah, the 4 fields are going as part of request body. The query string parameters, my type is going. Okay, as part of request headers, my question is going. Okay, as part of path parameters, yes, my answer also going. Okay, all 4 ways used or not? So these are the ways my data is going. So can we retrieve the data in the server side? Okay, can we retrieve the data? Okay, come on, in the server side, how we can retrieve the data? Query parameters, which data is coming? As part of query parameters, which data is coming? Query parameter, which data is coming? As part of query string parameters, my type is coming. So that, can we get the type? Okay, here, can we hold with one variable? Type. The next one, as part of path parameters, which data is coming? My path parameters, I think answer is coming. Okay, don't think like this one and this one both should be same. Okay, this one should same with this one. Okay, answer. This is my path parameters answer. Okay, this type should be same like what? Query string parameter key is there, right? Should be same. Okay, this is your wish. You can put the naming convention purpose, the type. Okay, so that I'm using like same name only. Okay, the next one. Headers. Headers, you are getting like what? Question. Okay, you are getting like a question. The next one is like body. As part of request body, what you get it? Okay, you are getting like these things or not? Option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. So that can we get all these things. Requested body dot option 1. Okay, this is my option 1, 4, 1. Like this, how many options are there? 4 options. This is my option 2, and this is my option 3. Okay, this is my option 4. Okay, so that this is my option 4. Okay, this is my option 2. This is my option 3. Yeah. All my data is ready or not. Now, if you want this data, if you want to show my type is this one, and this is my answer. Okay, this is my question. This is my question, and the next one is like options. Okay, this is my O1. Okay, this is my O2. Okay, once you get this O1 and O2 remaining, also you can get it right. Okay, just check. Now, if I click on this one, if I click on this one, okay, can you check now the response? Okay, my response is like this. Okay, my type is not going. Okay, my type you should have to select. Now, if I click on the submit, okay, where is my network? Okay, if I click on this one, okay, now it's going like undefined. So that I think it will now this is my question. This is my option 1. This is my option 2. This is my option 3. This is my option 4. This is my answer, and this is my on the submit. Data should work now. So that's it. This is the original request. Now, if you see my response, now see this. All are working as expected or not. Okay. Now, taken the data, done. Taken the data, completed. The next one is what? You have to establish the connection with your database and perform required operation and send the response back. I will tell in tomorrow's class. Okay, thanks guys, thanks for joining.